Some people unfortunately left the faith and that was their reason of exiting the kind of scene. Some people stopped doing music because of family took over. And you have to realize a lot of us, we weren't making thousands of pounds. Or how am I supposed to sit under a leadership that doesn't even want to relate to my struggle? George Floyd was all of our struggle because that's a black man who's been killed by a white officer. And how do you expect me not to look at that picture and be grieved by it and cry about it?
Affinity Xtra, be extra.
Hey guys, this is Roger Moore here from Affinity Xtra. We're here to be extra, and you know, we want to really open up some of the journey of a lot of UK acts, and I think that knowledge is a thing which we don't utilise too well in the UK industry, as you know from my conversations in the past on the station with industry heads and whatsoever. So I thought I had the opportunity here to interview a star here and have a good chat about the journey over the past couple of years, especially with the release of his album and so on. And we just want to just have a touch base with him. He's here with his wife and his little one in the background, and his young daughter. And just that saying that alone is all part of the journey since we last seen each other. Thanks to lockdown. I also want to go through this, navigate through this journey, and really look at things so we can support A-Star and also understand what we can learn from the past, that we can be better in the future, and how we can support the UK gospel, let's say industry, you know, scene and whatsoever. But we're gonna have this great convo anyway. So yeah. But first and foremost, A-Star, just introduce us, just talk to us about how you just. Many things. I don't want to go too much depth because I don't want to make this into testimony service. But just give us a little church background and where you're coming from and
so I'm 32 years old. I'm from East London, Leytonstone. Been a Christian since the age of 19. I have you know, my bit of my background. Grew up in a single parent home. My parents split up when I was young. My dad went to jail, and when he came out of jail, he became a believer in prison. So he would take me to Sunday school with him. But you know, so I grew up going to Sunday school here and there, going to church, but didn't know the Lord for myself. So at the age of 19, the Lord saved me, and I was doing music from like the age of 14, 15, writing lyrics in school. Like this is the whole grime era that got started. So you know, being from East London, I saw that all around me. I was in the Power video with Fuming, who was from Leytonstone, from my area at the time. So I had a strong grime knowledge and background. So when I got saved at the age of 19, the music was still there. So I teamed up with one of my boys, Leo, Mistman, and we created a group, Forever Christ, and we just went to spit bars, and he was producing as well. So and from there, we're still great brothers. We're still making music together. But I went solo and started doing my thing. In 2015, I brought out my first EP, which was Revolutionary. That went to number 4 in the official UK Christian gospel charts and iTunes, HipHop as well. And then fast forward to 2020, I brought out my debut album, Born and Raised, just before COVID, the lockdown started. The first lockdown started.
That's definitely crazy. Now, you talk about Forever Christ. I just remember, yam.
I'm a Christian, a classic.
Absolute classic. I did a lot of GR lives, and one of the most epic GR lives I did was Mali Music, and you guys were there, man. And
no, we weren't at the Mali
Music.
Music.
Wait, Mali one?
We was at the.
Got it wrong?
We was at Tripoli and Tadashi.
Hey, did yam Christian that one? It's Tripoli. Listen, guys, forgive me. I got it wrong. Why did I think it was Mali Music?
No, I wasn't at the Mali Music. Mali Music was, who was at Mali Music? That was at Black Grape, innit? So
Black Grape,
I know Big Tizzle was there. I think Right Way were on that one.
You know who was on it? See, guys, you have to realise that, you know how many of this generation of guys that were on this? And I remember, because it's the same venue, innit? Because we're the same venue with Tadashi.
And we was at Tadashi, Tripoli, DJ For Real, DJ Promote.
Official.
DJ Official. Rest in peace.
Man, most definitely. And And the products that they was bringing out there, triply internationally, were amazing. And for me, I remember that's it. It's the same venue, you know. And I remember standing there and I heard a yama Christian, and because I remember there's a batch of artists right there. You had like yourself, TP, you know, Governor coming through, and a lot of young artists. And I'm afraid a lot of them are not around right now. For many different reasons, you know, and the reasons do vary, and it was a bit of a golden period. And for me, yourself, I'm gonna say his name wrong now. You call him Miss Man. I'll call him his proper government name or whatever he calls it.
Lionel.
Lionel, yeah. So, you know, I was gonna say it right, Lionel. Yeah, I always said that. I was scared because people say it a different way. Lionel.
Yeah, he hates being called Lionel.
Okay.
It's not Lionel, it's Lionel. Yeah.
Sorry, Lionel. You know what I'm saying? Sorry. You know, it's just because, you know, obviously there's a famous singer. But no, 100%. What you guys did with Forever Christ was really impactful. And obviously the quiet period, and you've been bringing out single after single after single after single after single after single, and now we're finally here at the stage of the album. Now, was there any reason how did you back from doing these albums earlier? Was it the ability to write? Was it the support network around it? What was the reason?
I think obviously at the time where the quote-unquote Christian scene in the hip-hop sense was thriving, it would have been a great time to release an album. But I don't think at the time I was ready. When I came in the scene, I came as like a grime MC, and that was my background. That's all I knew. So, you know, obviously getting to know how to make songs, Leo really helped me with that, songwriting and just, you know, making full songs, whether it's grime or not. I had to grow in my craft. So when it became stuff like doing shows, festivals and things like that, I always thought, what's my sound? What do people like me for? You know, you had your Governor B's, you had your SOs, you had your Jahazios, and you know, they all had their sounds that worked for them. Okay. And I knew what worked for me, but I just wasn't able to capture it well. So in my journey of trying to explore all these different sounds, I just had to come back to my roots and like, yo, this is what people love from me. Like hearing off my chest freestyles, hearing my 201, you know, freestyles and stuff like that. So that's what people liked about me, just being real, raw and rugged in my music, being real about my struggles with faith, you know, sickle cell, all of that kind of stuff. So I thought, all right, let me come back to that. And that's what made me do Born and Raised, which is like an introduction to who I am. And kind of like that's my blueprint basically. Do you know what I'm saying?
So I do want to, you know, salute you on that, and I think that there's a lot of young people doing music now and releasing bodies of work, and you know, and it's great. But I do feel that enjoy the development of your life, because what I find is that our content, we're young in our faith, is totally different to when we're older in our faith and experience of life and the different things that's going on. So I applaud you for that, because sometimes we got the ability, but then we just stop and we just run away from, you know what I mean? We kind of like stop, but we just kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this, and just chuck it all out there, and actually just hurt ourselves in the midst of this. So I definitely salute you for putting pause on that. Now, going from all the singles and the albums now, so we get to the stage of these albums, what was some of the creative inputs that you had into the album? You had Miss Man supporting you with the production. Who else was supporting you on this journey?
So Leo was supporting me with, he supported me with my new music. With Born and Raised, he heard about it and was, you know, giving me ideas and stuff. But with the new music, he's more involved. So I had producers like Alex E, who was one of the main producers, if not the main producer on my album. He had like a good 7-8 tracks on my album. I worked with Heavy Trackers, Rude Kids, who are well-known grime producers, Teddy Music and Rapid as well. So these are well-known producers in the grime industry. So and all guys that I have a great relationship from college days. So
okay, cool.
Yeah, so growing up, seeing them excel in their careers as well, they've always seen what I've done. And you know, it was only right to come together with these guys through, you know, through our relationship. So, yeah, that's the kind of vibe that I wanted to have on the album. Just people that I know and I'm close with, and they know my journey. So we can kind of move from there. Yeah.
And you mentioned about sickle cell. Sorry guys, I'm gonna hit back onto sickle cell because I think that sometimes we take for granted health. We take for granted because we're Christians, we pray and we get healed. And you're on stage bringing across about a mighty God, but what we had to show is that you are suffering in the background with a condition which is crippling. When I was a young guy back where we were told when you get sickle cell, you might not live past 30. There's a lot of lack of knowledge around it, and there's still a lack of knowledge around it. All you know is it affects black people. You know, we don't want to go into why we never invested into that. But anyway, it's not the subject. But talking about the journey with sickle cell and how that's impacted you as an artist.
Yeah, so you know, I've had sickle cell from birth. It's a hereditary disease that affects the red blood cells that produce oxygen to carry oxygen around the body. And at times I can fall into what you call a crisis. You know, in times of extreme weather, exhaustion, stress, and you know, this is something I've had to carry with me for my whole life. So becoming a believer now and doing music with it as well. I really was someone who wanted to be someone who just shares every part of their life in their music. So I share, you know, about my sickle cell, my faith as well, and also my journey with how I can balance having a chronic illness and how believers and the church have dealt with it, because I've had positive and negative experiences with that. You know, experiences where I was told, well, you know, you don't have enough faith, that's why you're not healed, or you know, throw away your medicine, and that's an action of your faith in being healed. I've been told that. I've been told, you know, what sin did you commit because you had a crisis. So these are negative impacts that the church has had. I'm not saying the church as a whole, but specific churches or church movements have had negative impacts they've had on me in regards to my health. So I hid a bit from talking about sickle cell because I thought, okay, well, you know, it's always a thing where they say don't proclaim that you have it or whatever, but it's something that I'm still battling with. I can go to church and have a crisis a few hours after. It's something I'm still battling with. So I chose to, you know, just put my foot down and speak about it. And the more I spoke about it, the more I met other people who were going through the same struggles. Believers that had sickle cell, you know, people that, you know, were not even Christians of the faith, but people that were around my age that didn't speak about it because it was kind of deemed as an embarrassment or it's a shameful thing to talk about. But you know, the more I experienced and you know, sickle cell and did research on it and met people, I wanted to be a voice for people who had the same pain that I did. So, you know, in 2019, I did a song called Hidden Pain, and I partnered with the NHS to release that music video, and we shot the video in a hospital. And if you see the kind of music video where it's me in a hospital bed, and I wanted to display the uncomfortable scenes of what it looks like to have a crisis. So, and I wanted people to see that. And I think speaking to the church about it, I think we should have a different approach when it comes to chronic illness or any sort of illness. Not a thing of, let's pray it away or you're healed and don't speak it out, but allowing people to share their struggles of what they are going through physically as well as mentally, because mental health is another thing as well as physical health, and it's a discussion we need to have in the church setting. If we're saying this is a safe place for people to come to and for us to be able to express our love and our prayers and our support, the church should be the first place to do that. And we should make it, we should accommodate people who are coming with mental issues, with chronic sickness and physical issues and things like that. So it's important that we encourage each other, speak about it, yes, pray for each other also, but also understand that for someone like myself, if I'm continuously being told you're healed, don't talk about it, it isn't helpful. So for me, I've come to understand now that if healing is something that I believe God still heals today, but if He doesn't heal me in this lifetime, there's a time where I will be healed. Amen. And that's when, after this life, when we are eternally with Him, the Bible says that He'll wipe away every tear. There will be no pain, there'll be no hurt, there'll be no tears. And that will be a time where I'm free from this body, physical body, free from sickle cell, free from any mental health and all of that stuff. So I think it's encouraging to hear that from believers more than just, pray it away.
No, 1,000%, bro. 100%, and I kind of get a bit of that because myself, I was born with I would say, disease that you can't see, disease, illnesses, whichever way people see it. I was born with epilepsy, and in the Bible, it's like casting demons out of people and seizures, and I'm like, this is not good for me,
Right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
And you know, people say pray out and whatsoever, and so on. So yeah, I'll get you, bro, and it's important that we do have this conversation, and it's not. And I think we are wising up right now, because I think information is traveling differently compared to say 20 years ago because of the internet, and the ignorance when it comes to dealing with our issues is really being exposed, and the, I would say, the mentality towards you know, churches and illness has been, you know, relating your spirituality to your healing, and it's, which is just totally wrong, you know. But you know, we can expand on that totally, you know. And I think it's important that, you know, for everyone out there, is that they have to realize that we have our thorns in our flesh, as Paul talks about, and it's not to have a conceding mentality, because sometimes you almost concede like that, but it's still to walk forward and march forward and know that God's got your back throughout it. It's a peace in the storm, you know. And I encourage you, bro, like, you know, there's many storms ahead, and there's many storms tomorrow, there's many storms that you've been through, but it's that peace in the storms that separates us from everybody else, and that's through Christ, man, you know, 100%, bro. I definitely love that, man. Now, a couple of things, you know, when you guys are developing, and we had a gig about it before, but I'm gonna be open about it. So, like, when I did GR Live, guys, you know, and these are some of the conversations I want to really open up with the guys and the cats that come from that period there. There was a unity. GR Live 1 and 2, 100% unity, dude. Like, crazy unity that I saw within the UK rap scene. You got the young guys, I call you guys the Bibles crew. You all came under that wave, that massive wave.
I came just after that.
Just after that,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then you got Poor Brother Happy comes right at the end of right to the end of everything.
Yeah.
But like, seeing that togetherness, and then seeing where it's live, people leaving the faith, disputes, some people going further than others, jealousy, envy, everything comes in there. I don't want to bust off, put it all into one. Seeing, for me, I saw it, you know, the breakup of the unity that you guys had. You know what I'm saying? You know, how did that work for you?
So yeah, it's a great question, because for me, I'm someone who's always had a desire and a passion for unity and everyone sticking together and coming together. So I was always angry and upset when there was disagreements and disputes, but that we're human beings, it happens, you know. So I don't know exactly how I can tackle that, but I can say that the main issue of people kind of going their own ways was obviously the foundation of it was faith. So faith is, you know, our faith, and, you know, the church we was part of, or the kind of counselling and discipling that we was getting was all from different people. Some people unfortunately left the faith, and that was their reason of exiting the kind of scene. Some people stopped doing music because of family took over. And you have to realise, a lot of us, we weren't making thousands of pounds or tens and hundred thousands of pounds or millions when it came to music. So a lot of people outside of their choice had to choose, I'm going to choose to provide for my family, and in that, what does that look like? I can't afford to do any music, so I'm gonna have to pursue that. With some people, you know, it don't even have to be like you've got a family, but it's just like, you know, my passion for it is gone, or, you know, some people just, again, left the faith. But so many different things where I would say, if someone was to say to me, who is in the Christian scene now, or the gospel scene, I would say, I don't even know if there is one. I know there's individuals that still do music with a faith context, but if you're saying a whole scene, I'm not sure. But I know there's a lot of young artists coming up. We're in an era where drill is very, very strong, drill music. So there's a lot of young artists that are coming with that kind of vibe, the whole Afro swing kind of vibe. So yeah, that's a new kind of wave of artists that are coming through. But with us, I think, you know, we just grew up. A lot of people lost the passion for the music. Some people, you know, left the faith again, you know, with their personal relationships with God. So that's not anything I can say and talk about, because it's their personal journey. But for me, yeah, I just thought, you know, for myself, I still love the Lord. I still have a passion for music, and I have a family as well. So that is my main priority. But when I can, I try my best to just pour into my music career as well.
No, 100%. And I think I just want to definitely. I think there's many things, and I think that for me, we have to recognize some of these things what you mentioned there, because this really puts a pressure on what have we done in a wider sense to make you guys fulfill your potential. Yeah, and I don't think things were in place. Obviously, rap was very young there in terms of the acceptance within the church. It only just really was starting to get accepted. But this is what I want to kind of move forward, to see these young guys doing drill now. What's around them? Getting performances on BBC One Extra is nothing special to me. You know what I'm saying? Because they drop you straight away the next day. So that's great for one, that you get 400,000 likes on your Spotify, whatever, Spotify likes or whatever. But ultimately, in a year's time, it's important for us to recognise that there was a vibrance, there was a keenness, there was many great bodies of work, but what did we do to support you guys to get to the next stage? You know what I mean? And
it's a good question.
You know what I mean? And were we prepared to give up? And were you guys? I'm not saying you guys, not yourself personally. Were you guys ready to work underneath an elder within the music scene, not church, within the music Christian, to be mentored, and were people willing to sacrifice to mentor? So I've talked to people on my age group, and some like, they don't want to listen to me, man. They don't know whatsoever. And the other side of things is the youngers are like, what you know what I mean? But why do you think that never really happened? Because there were guys out there, there were like, you guys saw the Dwaynes, the Jahazals and the different people, the FRMs and so on like that still,
And you know, people like Dwayne Triumph and Jahazio especially was a mentor of mine, you know.
Okay, good.
Ephraim, he's my pastor today, Pastor Ephraim. So,
man.
you know, I think a lot of times, so when we look at the Christian scene, the huge countries or influences were US and UK. So with yourself, you was doing Geo Live for years, like a decade plus. You had US artists coming together with UK artists, which was the two main countries coming together. In the US, if you look at Reach Records, what happened is Lecrae coming together with Ben Washer.
That's it.
Someone's got the money and the tools, someone's got the vision, the passion, come together. Reach Records is a multi-millionaire successful record label today. If you're looking at how could the UK have done that, I think it would have been that kind of same vision would have been something that would have made it that. Is someone with the money and, you know, if it's the millions or the hundreds of thousands coming together with someone else who's an artist or someone who's a manager and has that same vision of we're going to sign artists, not just to say, yeah, we've got a label and blah, but we're going to sign artists, do everything professionally, contracts, releasing albums, music videos, partnering with labels and all that stuff, putting on shows and tours. They had to hustle for that reach to get to where. So I feel like we had that same hunger and with the Geo Lives and people doing their own shows. You know, Governor had his show, Victor's and Tunde had their show at the time. Faith Child was doing his show. So people were putting on shows, but then again, it's like, you know, Faith always says like, we were using our student finance and loan money to do albums, and it's true because the money weren't coming from anywhere else. And then at the same time, with the support now that we have, you know, from the church given to the local artists, it was difficult because I always speak about it, but they would book like a huge artist from the States or a huge pastor from the States and pay them tens of thousands of pounds, and then the local artist will say, yeah, here's a 10-minute slot for £100, or here's a 10-minute slot for some rice and Sprite. Do you know what I'm saying? And that bruised the UK confidence of the UK acts. It bruised the confidence of the local artists, where we're feeling, right, if our own people are not supporting us, where are we getting that support from? And this is why I say I'm not surprised where you will hear your Beyonce, your Mariah Carey, your Whitney Houstons come from a gospel background, and then get to a point where they say, well, I love what I do, and you know, I love why I do it, but I want to create a career out of it. So there's people that leave that environment and go and get a bigger career out of it. I don't have an issue with Christians that make music that is not explicitly Christian
Okay,
and
cool.
make
Yeah,
money
yeah,
from
yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
don't compromise your faith.
Faith in it.
So for
100%,
me,
yeah.
I would do a tune with a grime MC like DWE's on my album.
Yeah, man.
But I know the conversations we have behind closed
Yeah, yeah,
doors,
that's it.
and also I'm not going to go and do anything that won't compromise my faith. Do you get what I'm saying? So it's a thing where it's become a thing where it's every man for themselves now, because that main support that we were supposed to get, I don't think we get as much. But now when you have big platforms like big festivals, Christian festivals, again, there's one token person, it could be a token black person or a token black singer or rapper that we want to get, that represent everyone, that we're going to pay you and you do everything, where there's like, that shouldn't be the case. There should be, there's a whole batch of people in the scene or in the industry that we should try and bring forward. Do you get what I'm saying?
You raised a few things there, bro.
Yeah.
And I think it's good to hear this. For me, you're totally right. I remember I speak to, I said it artist, I baited him out, but when it goes to me, yo, right, you know when you did GR Live and we saw like the American artists come over, and it was like, yo, you know, what's going on, because these guys, they know what the rates are. But they don't know my deals with the artists. Fortunately, guys, you know, promoters, what you find independent promoters like myself, we grind down artists to a bare minimum. It was actually, some stages, it was cheaper for me to get American artists than it was the UK acts. You know what I'm saying? You know, and dare I say, you know, the likes of Tadashi and all these guys in Mali, they respected the platform and understood my investment in it. Now,
and they had a great fan base there as well.
A great fan base in here. That's great. But you get to the flip side is this, which I totally understand is a balance. Now, I'm an independent promoter that doesn't have any backing from nobody. Putting in a show, I have to hustle. So if I can get an artist that's pulling in numbers, if I can do UK only, I will do UK only all day, bro, all day long. Because
I know that for you, 100%.
Because it'll mean that I don't have to worry about stressing yourself. On my first year live, you know, 2 weeks before the show, I thought to myself, hold on, about if you can't leave the country and the whole gig's over, that was stress. Like, yo, let's just get him into how, you know, the whole process of that. So I would avoid that. But again, churches, major festivals, spending silly money on artists but not really bringing people to the event is my biggest problem. I do believe as well, when I look at the scene that's not church, we know they have financial backers that are not the legal ones we want to be out and out, but they have this is why I've seen a gospel rap scene not flourish, because of the lack of investment, because our replacements from the of the investment, because they got, you know, let's be real, they got Man and Roll is investing into these promotions, investing into young artists and whatsoever. They're using their money. We should be getting that from our leadership, from Christianity. I'm a firm believer we should. People will disagree with me all at once, but if there's investment into something, not expecting something totally back, you look at the wider picture, they're looking at influence and whatsoever. If we're gonna impact the world, people will come in through the doors if you invest. What the investment is, I don't know, but we need to support and invest our young gospel artists, because I'm seeing now, bro, young people don't even know what gospel music is. And now we're stuck because there's no young, they don't know the music, you know what I mean? Where before, you guys knew your music, you knew the truth, you knew these guys and whatsoever, and you knew what's going on. So it's for me, I'm looking at this and going, boy, you know, what's next? You know, what can we do better? But you raised some valid points there, and I think that's something that we have to look into in terms of, and I say we, the guys who are getting older now.
Right.
Have to look at how we change this.
Even someone like myself, when I'm seeing a younger artist, how can I help him? If he's asking me what studio do you use, and I'm telling him this is a studio, and he's like, man, I can't afford that or whatever. If I have £200 to pay for like a 2-day studio day, why can I not invest in a young person and say, go and do that, and then I'll see if I can sort out your mixing or whatever. And you know, in regards to me as an artist, growing up now and getting to a place where I'm like, okay, how long do I want to do music for? That's the next thing I'm going to look to, is investing in the young artists, helping them with, you know, songwriting or anything like that, and try my best to invest that. And you know, we did have things like that, people like that, but when it comes from the church, it came to a place where, yes, they would book us for shows, but then it would get to a place where it's like, oh, okay, this is actually becoming a career for some people, and the price goes up, and then the bookings are, I'm saying,
it kind of messes up. And something you mentioned about the Reach record model, because that's something I brag about. I think it's a fantastic model for us to look at from a UK perspective, because you know, Lecrae, when I did JLab 2, said to me, Roger, you know, isn't the UK prime for a Reach record model? And my only problem is that I don't feel that the artist would really like it as such, you know, working under people. I felt like people love their independence. But I think this season right now, going into COVID, now we're going to touch this whole COVID lockdown situation because it's affected artists full stop. COVID has really got us to really reflect, to realise that, hold on a second, we need to do this a bit more clever now, you know what I mean? And in terms of as a mature person, we want to go a bit before we hit the COVID period. Listen, man, you got married, bro. You know what I'm saying? You know, now, we touched base about sickle cell. We're talking about marriage. You know, how has that affected, you know, in terms of music? You know what I mean?
Yeah, marriage has been beautiful struggle in a great way.
Yeah,
because you have no choice but to grow up. You know what I'm saying? You know, you find out how selfish you are. You find out how you're stuck in your own ways. But when you're married and you're joined together with someone, and you're in a house together, and all of that, they've got their trauma that they've, you know, had to come from, you know, from their household or they growing up, and I've got mine, and coming together, and all our traumas are all meeting and coming out now. We've had to do things like take therapy, so we both take therapy individually now, which we're very serious about, and we're huge advocates for believers taking therapy, because therapy saved our marriage. So knowing the traumas that we had growing up, for myself, you know, coming from a single parent home, you know, back and forth with my pops, like in and out of my life, and for her, you know, coming from a family that she comes from, we've had to both bring our traumas together, and you know, it's been great for our marriage. And now we've had our struggles with miscarriages that I talk about in my album Born and Raised. And now we've got a beautiful daughter. She's, you know, she's 6 months now. So we've gone through our struggles, but the beautiful thing is, one of my outlets is music. So it's like therapy for me as well. I get to speak about, you know, the difficulties of marriage, of single people thinking that, you know, don't go as couples, because, you know, don't look at Instagram and think, I want that, because people really go through stuff in marriage. You know what I'm saying? So I get to share that kind of stuff in music, and that's an outlet, and I'm grateful to have a wife who allows me to still go studio overnight and all of that kind of stuff too. You know what I'm saying? So marriage has definitely made me mature more, and know about myself more, but also be able to share my experience in my music as well.
Brilliant. Yeah. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. You know, that's something definitely that's blessed, bro, what you just said, 100%. So, for marriage now, so we're going to go a little bit of journey going into lockdown. Okay, so you came up here, we had a chat about your album that you're about to release out. You got that album out, downloaded it, and I love some of the tracks on there. And again, you know, there's certain signature things which I seem to like when you go boom boom. Anyway, so let's and then all of a sudden, within 2 weeks, I was meant to bring in over Montal Fish, and that all, you know, that was a week after what you had launch and so on. And then all of a sudden, everyone's plans went down the drain. Now, how was that for you, releasing your new album, and I know you had a plan for the year. How was that? Was that in have to go and get the punching gloves out or something?
You know what? No one would have ever thought we was going to go into a global pandemic. Like, the whole world was affected by it. Well, most of the world anyway. So literally a week after my album came out, I had my launch party, and a week after that, literally the lockdown was announced. So it was tough for me because you know, people got to take in my album but from home, and I really wanted to go out and tour the album and you know and you know really see how people connect with the song.
Yeah,
with the
of
album.
course.
So you know, I didn't even get to do my hard copies and all that stuff. So now you know that things are kind of getting back to normal. I want to get my hard copies and I want to do my shows.
Cool.
I want to do my London show. I would love to do a show in Birmingham. Birmingham's like, for those who know me, know I love this city. Honestly, like from young, like me and Leo just coming up here, and you know, I used to go to church in London, and we had a Birmingham branch as well. The church that I was part of, and I was always here because I was a youth leader at the time. So I just love the city and just the support I got here and just the love from the people like yourself and people in the industry and stuff. So me and my wife come here just for like a getaway. You know what I'm saying? Now we've brought our daughter. It's nice. So I definitely, you know, want to do a show here in London as well. But with COVID, you know, it affected a lot of artists that weren't able to, you know, thrive in their craft or do shows or get money because of that. So, you know, we've had to find alternatives, do online shows, you know, do a lot of online performances, release singles that people can only listen to from the space of their own home. But you know, it has been a huge blow for a lot of artists. So I just encourage the artists that have been affected by COVID and you know, the lockdowns and things like that. Continue with your craft. You know, just allow it to. It even pushed me to buy my own equipment. So I bought my own speakers at home, my own, you know, got my own desk and new laptop and kind of sound, my interface. All that. I want to get a mic and just start demoing at home so that my creative, because my creative flows were dead during the first lockdown. I wasn't writing, I didn't have any ideas, and we was just locked in our home. And I feel like creatively, for creators in general, it was a difficult time. So hopefully, now that things are getting back to normal, we can start touring again and things like that.
That's beautiful, man. So you're hitting through lockdown, but in lockdown as well, you got a little daughter and everything like that. So and just give us a little insight before you know, you went through also a job situation. You know, we must have been crushing. You know, through that whole period. You know. Yeah,
I was made redundant like a month before our daughter was born. Crazy. So that was because obviously in the lockdown period. So I can tell you so many people, their jobs were affected by it.
100%.
So
I feel you.
It was tough. So she was born a month after. So it was a tough period for my wife and I. But yeah, God saw us through, man. If it wasn't for God and everything that we went through, but I got COVID. Do you know what I'm saying?
And the sickle cell thing?
That exactly. With sickle cell, that was mad. So if it wasn't for my sickle cell doctors, I genuinely feel like I wouldn't be here speaking to you today. So so 2020 was tough, man. I got COVID and, you know, it affected my lungs, my breathing was awful. My sickle cell doctors really helped me with that. But, you know, even through that, it was tough, man. It was tough, yeah.
Wow. And I think, you know, everyone is kind of like listening and going, okay, Rod, why you want to kind of do these type of conversations, you know? And I know it's first one with A-Star. I had a vision about this, but lockdown to do this. But I think that too often we have great conversations about, you know, your artistry, you're an amazing guy, you know, your intuitive background, but we don't really get to the real heart of what people can actually realize, that nothing's new under the sun. Everyone's going through their journeys. People have issues outside of life, and you know, as much as we see people smiling on Instagram, you don't realize behind the scenes it's real tough. Now I want to touch base on two more things before we close off. Man, that's not going to check before we close off, you know. Black Lives Matter. Now, something that I've been battling and talking with is a massive enlightenment for the UK black people since George Floyd. Enlightenment when it comes to the racism within church, racism within institutions, racism. We accepted a lot, you know what I'm saying, and there's almost a case of not only black people but also, you know, white people are saying like this is taking a mick, and truths are kind of coming out. How's that affected you? Have you just been like, yeah, I've been saying this for years, or has this really been okay? You know, because we're very divided. You know what I mean? Oh, but you're Congolese, okay, I'm West Indian. Yo, you do your thing there, I'm doing my thing here. But I think there's a a sea change, yo, we're African. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? The borders have been forced on us. You know what I mean? So I don't know, how's it been for you?
You know what? I think in the years of being in the faith, it's not something that I looked at as strong enough. But
true.
As I grew in my faith and got to see people leave the faith because of Christianity, saying that Christianity is a white man's religion, and things, I had to look at it like, why do people have that approach on it? And then you look at colonialism and how, you know, people enforced the Bible on some Africans and things like that, and used it in the whole time of slavery. But that's not the beginning. You know, the Bible was there before slavery, and unfortunately, because of times like that, it was used in a negative sense. And that has bruised us big time as a nation, 100%. And who we are. The beauty of it is, people like yourself, who's of Caribbean descent, you're understanding your roots and where you come from. So a lot of people are being strengthened in their faith and saying, you know what, yes, there was a time of slavery which we completely are against, but also Jesus is not a white man with blue eyes and thin lips and straight hair that we see on our posters, that we see on you know what I'm saying, wherever you see, if you was to type Jesus on Google, that's exactly the face you would see. But we're understanding that Jesus was a Jew who God used, who was God in the flesh, who died for our sins. So there's a more of a depth to just, he's a white man that you lot praise. So we're able to see past the cracks, and we're able to kind of get rid of what we've been blinded with, is this white image that we all have to bow down to, which trickled down to leadership. Now you'd have black churches that people talk against and the white churches that people love. And you know, you'd go there and you'd think, well, I go to a church where the leader's white, and okay, great, but like, does he understand any of my struggle? There was a leader who said, you know, with the George Floyd thing, he said, well, that's an American matter, so we don't need to talk about it.
And it kicked off.
Do you get what I'm saying? So how am I supposed to sit under a leadership that doesn't even want to relate to my struggle? George Floyd was all of our struggle, because that's a black man who's been killed by a white officer. And how do you expect me not to look at that picture and be grieved by it and cry about it? So if I'm coming to my safe place, which is my church, where I feel like I want to be encouraged in God's word, I should be going to a place where it's like, you know what, this is not right, it's unjust, and we are here to support each other. How can I support you as a black brother who is stopped by the police more than a white man is for no particular reason? There was a time where I was growing up, 16, 15, school times, college times. 2 weeks couldn't even go by, Roger, without me being stopped and searched by the police. A black man is traumatized by stuff like that. And that's some of the things that a white man can't relate to. So in a place of, especially like the church, how can we relate to each other? How can we relate to each other's struggles? And leadership especially needs to accommodate that for all of their congregation.
And I think leadership has to realise it's education as well. I don't think they're really educated themselves, and I think there needs to be a mass education for white leadership. I watched a number of podcasts lately about this, and to be honest, it's their ignorance to history, and they're still living it. They're almost, like he says, that don't really want to gain the struggle. But what empowers them is that black Christians themselves almost not whitewash, trying to grey-wash the whole race, colour thing when it comes to Christianity. Oh, God don't see colour. And I'm thinking, okay, if he didn't see colour, why aren't we the same colour? And it's like, colour's beautiful, you know, and it's something which, you know, we within Christian music have had no voice in, and it's design, and it's our failing, because they're going to non-Christians for advice over this issue. Now it's time for us to stand up and actually talk it, because we've got the love of Christ. We're not here to burn down the system, but we're here to elevate the system. So we need to educate. You know what I'm saying? Educate ourselves first and foremost. You know, educate Caribbean and South American, American descendants to realize that where we come from. And to be proud of it, because we grew up under a culture of we're not proud of being African, not proud of being black. And probably, Roger, no, I'm proud of, no. How many West Indians generation before me will put up their hand and say that I'm African? Very few of them.
And how many Africans would say I'm African? In school, it was not popular for us to say I'm African.
Wow.
It wasn't. You get laughed, you get called African boo-boo, things like that. And you know what I'm saying? But it was popular to be Jamaican or Caribbean.
Yeah. You see, all these, man, there's so much we can pull out from this, because for us to actually, it's been very divisive because we don't come together. You know what I'm saying? You know, so we don't come together. So it just allows for us not to achieve much. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now it's time for us to go, okay, then I embrace your struggle, I embrace our struggles, you know, whatever, and realize that, you know what, so you're stronger together. And it's not about burning down the white establishment, but it's about really gathering up a voice and actually empowering our next generation that they can stand up strong. So no, that's fantastic, bro. You know, and it's good to hear, you know, that your thought patterns from it, and your the reason why we do things with Affinity Xtra is to be proud to be black. You know what I mean? We're celebrating black music. Black music has a massive part to, you know what I mean, to play in the world music. It's the number one, you know, like full stop. But yet in Christendom, it's number 12.
Right.
Now we're gonna hold, you know what I mean? So this is, I want this to be a readdress, because we should be getting investment, not to be handouts, but we should be here to challenge the next generation and bring the quality of music from what you guys coming from a Christian perspective. That'd be absolutely fantastic. So no, it's great to hear that. But on the last note, bro, you know, I want to kind of end on this note. Football. Now, you're Arsenal fan, guys. You know, I want to bring this up because we do the Van Radio show right about here now. Obviously, you're having a struggle. You know, what I mean, you got Cuzzy, Saka doing his thing, like I said, man. But kind of. I have to say I'm proud of them. When he beat up the team in the Europa League in the last round when Slav, is it Slav or something?
Yeah, Slavia Prague.
Slavia Prague. When I saw a bunch of vexed black Arsenal players, you know what I'm saying? Like it's going Pepe, Lacazette, I'm gonna mash up some niggas. And seeing them beat them up. Well, listen, my biggest fear is to face Arsenal in the final. I don't know if you're gonna get there, bro. But
let's see, man.
But out of 10, how you happy about Arsenal?
2. I think our leaders need to go. The ones who own the company, the Kroenke family, they need to bounce. And then it's a thing of, it trickles down to the managerial decisions, to some of the board as well. So I just want the old Arsenal back, but it is going to be a journey, man. But it starts with the leaders. We need new leaders who actually have a passion for football and not just money. Because you've got obviously the whole new league that they were talking about. Super League.
Super League, man. Yeah.
So,
but it's amazing how they assemble for that, but not for racism.
See,
that's where it's all kicking off on the radio right now in our Van Radio shows. That's the kick off. It's amazing how Ryan Mason, at the age of 28, gets a job, but Ledley King, he's been serving the club.
Years of experience.
Experience. But the Bingham Ryan 28. Anyway, but listen, guys, these are things that we just note down, and these are things that where before we be silent about. No, we don't need to be silent. But definitely want to appreciate you taking the time out, bro. And what I do want to do is, you know, definitely just shout out people that can hit you up, bro. And what to expect next from yourself.
Sure, thank you, man, for having me, and love to Geo and the whole Geo team, Affinity Xtra team. I appreciate everyone in Brum, up north, in the Midlands that's been supporting us from London, so we appreciate you. My album Born and Raised is out now. I'm working on some new music, but I still want to promote my Born and Raised album, so hopefully we can tour it and the world can hear it.
Nah, that's brilliant, man. That's brilliant, man. Bro, enough love.
Thanks for having me, man.
That's great combo, bro. Great combo.
Visit us for updates and shows at affinityextra.co.uk.